I'm Kesty, Creative Director here at Fun Stampers Journey and Spellbinders, and I'm super excited to be sharing this video with you for the Stamp of the Month for August. It is perfect timing for the Stamp of the Month, and I can't wait to share it with you. Let's take a look. This Stamp of the Month for this August release is called Bookworm. And like I said, perfect timing, not just for back to school, but for anybody who's just prepping up for that perfect fall season of reading and, you know, having just one more chapter under your belt before you tuck in for the night. I just love it. So it is 12 stamps, and it is, of course, as always, full-size red rubber. We've got the amazing full-size etched red rubber and the indexing on the back. Love that. As always, high quality, made in the USA stamps. And we've also got this month a matching die. So this is an optional add-on that you can add onto your kit, and it is called the Bookworm die set. So that's going to help you cut all the images out here with very little fussy cutting. So we love that. So again, optional die if you choose to add that on to your kit. So again, let's talk about the Bookworm die. I'm going to lead you through 3 different techniques today just to help you get the most out of your stamp. As always, we do this every month with Stamp of the Month. We want you to really treasure these stamps, use them and use them and use them over and over again. All right, so let's take a look at starting a fun technique for a background that we're going to do. We're going to add Limeade Splash to our whipped cream cardstock. And we're doing just a really simple technique this month, and it's just using our blender brush. So I'm just going to put some Limeade Splash liquid color out here. And again, it's a highly pigmented dye ink. And then I've got my blending brush, which is the medium, is what I choose to use for this technique. And it's just full of plain water, so no special tricks there or anything. I'm going to go ahead and just get a little bit of water in my brush by gently squeezing. I don't want it too diluted, but just enough to give me a nice motion. And then I'm just going to go straight to my whipped cream cardstock, and I'm going to go just kind of using my hand as a, leveler. And I'm just going to put thin stripes all the way across my cardstock. So again, I'm keeping them more or less evenly spaced apart, but you can see I didn't measure, I didn't do anything like that. Just kind of let your hand be the guide. And look, guys, it's handmade. We don't want it to be perfect, right? If we did, we would do some masking or something else like that. Now I've got my horizontal stripes, and then I'm just going to come back. I've got an extra piece of paper in case I totally messed up, but hopefully we won't do that. I'm just going to flip my paper now 90 degrees. I'm going to come back with that same exact stripe. And this dries pretty quickly, so you don't have to worry about, smudging it. And I'm just going to come back and just do my little stripes the other way. And so what I'm really producing here is what I call a window pane check. So your boxes and your check are all, approximately the same size. Again, all made by hand. It's not going to be perfect, but that's kind of the look you're going for, a nice window pane. Now, what's really cool about this technique is if I wanted, I am going to stop here for my particular card, but if I wanted to come back and add another color to this, it would be so easy. I could just maybe grab another tone of green. I could add a red or anything like that, and I might even switch to the small blender brush. And then I could just come back and I could add another line between every one of these. There's plenty of room. And then you're going to get yourself a really amazing plaid. So I love that this technique has a lot of different varieties and variables that you can do. Now really, basically, this is about it for this technique. We're going to just let this dry real good. And then we're going to go ahead and grab one of our circle dies, cut that little guy out. And I'm going to show you the card that I did using the Bookworm stamp set. And just my die cut circle out of my homemade background. So check it out. How fun is that? So again, all I did was take this piece, die cut a circle. I did use our piercing element with our Journey Circles die, which turns out so cute. Just adds that little homemade touch. And then as you can see, I just stamped out 3 of the little books. I colored them with our Color Burst pencils, which I have right here, which I'm going to be using also in just a minute for another card background. But again, not a whole lot of other, super special techniques. You can see the fun little glaze I have on the book and the apple there. I thought that was a cute and fun addition to give it a little glossy look. But other than that, simple, sweet, perfect. Again, perfect for this time of year, whether you have a child that's going back to school or whether you know a teacher. I know a lot of you are teachers that get Stamp of the Month, so that's fun too. So you obviously are going to have friends and colleagues to kind of start the year off right, get them going with the card. My daughter is starting 6th grade, so I'm excited to do some little notes using this stamp set, maybe to tuck in her lunchbox or do something fun like that. All right, so let's move the stamp set aside just for a minute here too. I thought, what could be more perfect than doing kind of a couple chalkboard effects? Because, you know, school is all about chalkboards, and although I know the kids don't use chalkboards so much anymore, they use these fancy whiteboards and electronic things. But I thought, you know what, chalkboards are still fun, and they're still a fun technique. So I'm going to show you 2 different ways to create a chalkboard effect. I'm going to start with this guy. I did go ahead and already pre-emboss the sentiment. Again, the sentiment I talked about earlier. It's called Just One More Chapter. So cute. And I just did that with my clear pigment ink, and then I used my white embossing powder. So I kind of did that first as sort of the chalky part of my blackboard here. So then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in some of my whipped cream ink. Now the whipped cream ink is a fusion ink, so it's got a little bit more pigment than our typical fusion inks. So it's going to be a little bit wetter and take a little bit longer to dry than our normal inks. So just keep that in mind. So I've also got a little piece of my True Fusion sponge right here, my Fusion blender. This is a special fun sponge we've formulated to go really well with our inks. So I'm just going to pick up some of it with my sponge here. And you can dab some off on your grid paper if you want. But the sponge is such that it's not going to pick up too much. I think it's going to give me just the right amount. Now I'm just going to come in on my black cardstock. And just kind of, I'm going to go kind of randomly. I'm not going to try to cover the whole thing. But I'm going to come in here kind of random and give what I think looks like pretty cool, like, you know, chalk that's been rubbed off or whatever effect. And then I can go in and make it, you know, lighter or darker. I can also kind of do a circular motion. And I'm going to get a little bit darker look there. And then I'm also going to take my sponge and I'm going to come in with the edge of my, to the edge of my paper. And so I'm just going to add a little bit more white. Because, you know, sometimes you have that chalk that kind of collects in the edges, right? So I'm just coming along and adding a little bit more wherever you need to here. And again, as much or as little as you want. And I can also take a clean part of the sponge, then I can also kind of move some of this chalk around, you know, blend it a little bit more. So I'm not adding more color, I'm just blending what I have. And I think it's a pretty fun, you know, chalky technique. It looks like you just got that subtle chalkiness. Now, this would take a few minutes to dry, but I'm going to show you how I went ahead and worked on finishing the card. I've got some of my stamped images that I've already colored. So I'm just going to kind of perch them on there. And you can see that this apple, I've not only added journey glaze, but I've also added a little bit of our sparkle cuts. How cute is that, right? Okay, now I have another little book with my little bookworm on it. Because, of course, the stamp set comes with its very own teeny tiny little bookworm. So cute. And then I've got one more book that I just colored. This I've actually colored with that same limeade splash. You can see that it's got kind of those brush strokes. So the same liquid color that I showed you earlier, I just colored that little book with. And then one of the really fun products that Fun Stampers Journey has is these little pack of clips. And this is from the Cool Tune Elements. I think that's what it's called, Cool Tune. So it's got an apple and it's got a little music note, which would be super cute for music teacher, and some other fun little elements. So I'm adding that. And I thought, well, I need a few more pops of color. So I'm going to grab out these Party Burst dots, because they have all the fun, you know, colors that match my fun bright red. Maybe a white dot here. And then my green that kind of matches my book. Sometimes 3 little dots is all you need to kind of make this panel really come together. And then I wanted to show you what I used for my background of the actual card. You can see here that I have a really fun, whoa, that's like grid on grid. Check it out. We have some really fun pattern papers in the Fun Stampers Journey collection. And this one I wanted to show off a little bit is called the Good Vibes Print Pack. And so this has so many fun prints, just not only for this project, but any project that you're going to need throughout the year. But in particular, there's a couple down here that I thought were perfect for any of my book cards, really. These 3 in particular I thought were awesome. So this is definitely, you know, just kind of a grid graph paper. Love that guy. This polka dot is going to be super fun just to layer up. And then this blue and white kind of reminded me of, you know, one of the covers of like a little school notebook or something. There's other ones that you can use on here for sure. But I thought those in particular would be super fun. So I went ahead and did put grid paper on a piece of our haystack cardstock. And then I'm going to grab some foam squares, which I don't know if I have handy right here, but then I'll just pop this guy up, and I might put him at a little bit of an angle when I pop it up on the card. So you can see that I've got that, you know, kind of whole school vibe going on with the chalkboard and the grid paper and the fun little books. I thought that was just super fun. All right, so let's move on to my other chalkboard technique, which I also really love. This time I'm starting with just a plain piece of black cardstock, and I'm going to bring my clear pigment ink, and this time I'm going to do some stamping on top. So I'm going to grab, probably do all of the books, but I'll start with this little book guy, the one with the bookmark. And I'm just kind of going for the look where I'm going to create a whole background. So I'll quickly stamp these. I know you probably can't see it real well on the black yet, but that's the fun of this technique. You're going to see it come to life. Again, love that all the stamps are indexed so you can get your idea of where you're stamping them all. A little stack of books with the apple. And I might even bring in the little bookmark. I think the bookmark's adorable. I'm going to actually show you a bookmark that we created in just a minute. I'll put a couple little bookmarks here. And again, it doesn't matter if you go off the edge of the paper. That's not going to matter when we finish our project. Okay, so now what the fun part is that now I have to bring in some of our pan pastel. So this is one of our pan pastels that we have that's in the Party Pop collection. And the Party Pop collection has both black and white pan pastel. And the pan pastel is just a heavily pigmented, you know, like it says pastel. So it's got a kind of a chalky look, which of course is perfect for our chalkboard look. But it also has some really unique properties that I'm going to share with you. So because I put the clear pigment ink on here, which is a sticky ink, you'll see as I start adding the pan pastel and kind of patting it on, I'm going to blend it in a minute. But to do this technique, you kind of really want to do a patting motion first. And that's going to lock that pastel into that ink. So look how fun, it's almost like magic. The images start appearing. And I'm just adding the pastel as I go all the way around. Kind of like I said, pouncing. And then once I feel like the pastel is kind of into the ink, which I feel like it's pretty much there, I can come back with this same sponge and then actually do more of a blending motion. And again, that's going to smooth it out. That's going to make my images pop even more. How fun is that? It's like, oh my gosh. So it is really chalky. So one of the things I do want to share with you, which is really cool about the pan pastel, is that you can erase parts that you don't want. So what I have here is just kind of a white eraser. I've obviously had it hanging around for a while, but you can come in with this eraser and take away chalk that you don't want. And it actually won't even erase your ink of your pan pastel. So see if you go over that, it's not going to erase it. I wouldn't push super hard on the inky parts, but... And then you can just kind of come in and decide, okay, I want a little bit more black showing, you know, between my images. Maybe you want the images themselves to pop out more. And guys, this works well for any color of pan pastel. It doesn't just have to be the white. So if you're coloring something with pan pastel and you're working on a project and you decide, oh, I have too much of a color in a certain spot, again, just come back with your plain white eraser. And do use a nice quality, you know, artist eraser. I'm not so sure that a pencil eraser is the best one to use, but just use a decent eraser and just come along and erase the parts you don't want. So again, you can see that we've got, you know, still the images themselves a little bit more chalky and smudgy. And I'll take kind of the clean part of my sponge and kind of come back in here and blend those. You know, you might have some eraser lines. I'm like, okay, this is fun. I can come in and blend and have a good time. Okay, now one more thing I think is fun to add to this. I'm going to just take one of our pencils. Again, it's from the same Color Burst pencil set that I showed earlier, so just the normal colored pencils. And I just grabbed the white pencil, which happens to be number 48. But now I can come back and I can add fun little, you know, doodles or whatever on here. So maybe I'll add a 2 plus 2 here to my little chalkboard. I'll leave the answer blank. You can add math problems. You can add, you know, little ABCs. It's super fun to even add a, you know, teacher's name on here. Say if you've got a, you know, Miss Smith as your teacher or whatever. You could add that. You could add something in the bookmark. You know, really anything you want. Just add all your fun little images right to that chalkboard effect. So I didn't create a finished card with this guy. Again, I had this card that I was working on. I will show you one that I did something similar that I thought would be super fun. This is another pattern paper I'm going to show you in a minute. So this card I did with the green chalkboard pattern paper. But you can see that I have got some of the pan pastel around the edges here for my chalkboard look in the back of that. And how cute are these little guys? Our little spectacle fun accessories. So they come in both the round glasses and the more kind of nerdy style glasses. So I use that as a little accent on there. But again, you could have this background for the entire background of your card. Again, school notes, you know, whatever you want to come up with. Before I show some more card samples, I'm going to just quickly show you where this pattern print came from. Because again, if you only buy one pack of paper this entire year, check it out. This one is really one to consider. It's called Through the Year Prints, and it's exactly what it says. It's got January, February, March, etc., all through the year. A double-sided print, so I'll show you the one for September. Of course, we're in August now. A lot of school starts in August, but it's got the really great, you know, lines and letters in the front, and then it's got this darling apple pattern in the back. So you're getting 2 patterns for every month of the year, 24 prints, really fun pattern paper pack for you to consider. All right, let me move my little green dots out of the way. We use that grid paper, but I want to quickly show you some of the other cards we did. So this one I just shared. Here's one that's got that really fun stack of books colored up. Can you imagine all the fun different ways you could color that stack? Love it, love it, love it. Here's another one with that same stack of books. Again, use the apple clip, the darling little bookmark. And then this is a fun technique. This is just using one of our paint brushes, just in a block pattern. Again, picking up some of those liquid colors. Love that guy. Here's a fun one where we brought in a different grid pattern. Now this is not the grid paper, although this would be perfect for that paper. This is a stamp that we have that's called grid paper. So FSJ has a background stamp, a large one, that does this really cute grid paper. So cute, love that one. All right, let me quickly whip through a few more. I can't resist showing all these samples. Okay, here we've got little bookworm coming back again with all of his stack of books. And check out that wood background, the wood grain. That's an embossing folder. Love that one. This sentiment is great too. All books talk, but a good book listens as well. That's so fun. And here we've created a background. I would love to see someone do this similar type background with the chalkboard technique I just shared with you. So fun. So it's just got rows and rows and rows of books. Love it. And this is a little more modern. I really love the vibe of this one. We did the heat embossing on black paper, black licorice, and then just trimmed the books out and kind of added that fun little vibe. Again, that's the grid paper stamp in the background there. And this one, those of you who are fans of Belle and Beauty and the Beast, hopefully will get this one. This quote definitely is something that sounds like it would come straight from the Beauty and the Beast, with a dreamy, far-off look and her nose stuck in a book. So I thought, you know what, might as well run with it. Go with the blue background, the fun little yellow bow, and the cute little red rose. So if you have any Belle fans in your life, I think this one would be the perfect card for them. Okay, I promised I would share the bookmark. So here's a fun little bookmark. We use some of our twine for a tassel. And again, just heat emboss the books in all different colors now. What a fun little gift would that be? So fun for the first day of school, or maybe for a special teacher in your life. And one more little shout out to our small and large die of the month, both of which are book themed. The small die of the month for Spellbinders is actually a cute little backpack, which I don't have the project here, but you will definitely see that online. And this is the large die of the month. So this produces this darling little clipboard. It has this pencil with it and a lot of other dies that I didn't share. And even the paper clip, guys, that's a die. Look how cute. So I couldn't resist combining our stamp of the month with the large die of the month from Spellbinders also. It's even a card. See, it opens. Put your little greeting inside. So cute. So fun shout out to that stamp of the month. And I've got 2 more to show you. This one I just did kind of on a whim. I thought, you know what, we're doing so many with the primary colors. How fun would it be to have a little stack of books on a shelf that's a little bit more in the pastels. So I love how that one turned out. And yeah, again, I used some little sparkle cuts. And then this last one I wanted to share with one more fun product. Fun Stampers Journey also has these really cool file tab sticky notes, which they're like a whole pack of sticky notes here, guys. They're like, you know, tons and tons and tons. You can see how thick they are. But we went ahead and just used them to decorate this card. So we've got the 1, 2, 3 different little file tabs with the little bookworms. So again, a fun coordinating product that would go really, really well with the bookworm stamp set, which I think I will bring in one more time as I finish up this video. And you can get one more glimpse of it. Again, 12 stamps, Stamp of the Month. You can subscribe to the Stamp of the Month or any of our die clubs of the month just by visiting spellbinderspaperarts.com and just click on clubs, and then you will see all the fun choices and all the fun variety of products you can get shipped straight to your door each and every month. Love that. Thanks for sharing this technique video with me, and as always, enjoy bringing paper to life.